Hello everyone, how y'all doing today? My name is Preach It to Him Chris. This is the Teach It to Him Chris YouTube channel. Today I'm gonna talk about how I think now I can call myself an industry producer. Just a disclaimer, this video is gonna be very raw and uncut as I have about 20 or 30 content pieces coming up. In the time being, I'm just waiting for my laptop to be fixed because it got stepped on. But today I'm going to talk about how me as a college graduate, turned careers around, or at least tried a new career in the music industry without any prior knowledge in about, I'd say, 2 years' time. I think now I can call myself an industry producer as sort of I get more placements, and I think that like my stream count is nearing 100 million streams and plays across all platforms, DSPs, YouTube, TikToks. So I think now is the time where I can officially call myself an industry producer, which I mean, like, it's cool and all. But I'm gonna just talk about how I got there, what some of my methods were, and maybe some of y'all can take some of what I said and use it for yourself. But this is just gonna be super raw and uncut, just because, again, like, I don't have my editing softwares right now. This is just a camera, and we're just having a talk. Also, at the same time, I'm not too sure if I'm gonna be switching over to long form content. I think that there's gonna be a paradigm shift soon to short term content to long term content. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. It's just I just feel like sometimes the short short form content is a little bit fast food and can just be so how do I say this? Just tiring to look at. Like, how much are you really retaining from like a 1 minute video? Like, of course there are good tips and tricks, but I think that, maybe I'll try out some different things. But okay, let's get started. I'm just rambling now. Also, I'm doing this so I could kind of get better at speaking. I just don't know why. Just speaking's never been like my strongest suit. So we're gonna do this together. But okay, so here we go. So my story started out, I guess. I was doing I learned how to play music in the church. Definitely, I wanted to become a worship leader at my church and play the guitar. That was sort of what God was telling me to do when I was a young child. And I never knew that it would blossom into something like this. And hasn't been perfect, but that's definitely where I got my foundation from. I had a band in college, not in college, in high school. If any of y'all know Jonas, Eddie, and Armando, we had a little band back in the day. But that's where I got started. And then I went to college, and then I just kind of lost it. Just didn't do anything really musically inclined. And I always knew that I wanted to do something in the music industry. I don't know what was holding me back at the time. Maybe I just didn't have the knowledge of what could have been done when I was like 18 or 19, or I didn't even know about making beats, or like how that was a thing. People are making money off that and really building notoriety for themselves. And I started out definitely as an artist. I think in high school, like, I released a song. It was really trash, but that's sort of how I got started with it. I don't know who's banging on the restroom. What I was releasing some music, and I knew I wanted to do something in the industry. I am comfortable in front of the camera to be an artist, but someone was asking me for beats because I knew how to play, and I guess that's kind of how I got started. And then the pandemic hit, I think around like 2020, and then I I downloaded FL Studio, but like never got like super serious into it. Um, I don't know why after college, bro. Like it was just calling my name, you know. Like I have my degree in social econ, and like I could have started working, but I didn't. Something was just telling me, well, you need to take this leap of faith and just sort of do it. That was really a not the smartest move because I was doing it full time, like with nothing, just kind of dove my head in head first. Was like, okay, like build a business off this. Not the smartest thing, definitely. There was a lot of learning and still lots of learning that I'm doing today. Still figuring things out. I feel like no producer artist ever quite figures it out, you know. So after that, I told myself, okay, like, you need to be serious, and the only way that you can do that is just by repetition. So I made beats every single day. In that time span, I made about 1,000 beats in like a year and a half before I went back to school again. Well, the last file just corrupted, so we're gonna keep on going. Um, but I made about 1,000 beats in about a year and a half, and I think if anybody asked me for some legitimate advice, I would just say make 1,000 loops or 1,000 beats and just put it all out there. Something's gonna happen, really. That span of 1,000 beats, somewhere around the middle in the 8 month mark, I wasn't I wasn't or at least on my terms, I wasn't successful. I didn't have any placements. I was starting to gain a little bit of traction on my YouTube account, but just nothing big. And I'm always thinking big. I'm always like wanting the best for myself. So I was starting to get a little bit discouraged at that time. And then my first placement with Slowly, which hit over 2 million, I'd say like around 4 million to this day, which was just a crazy placement. Um, and that kind of reassured me that okay, you're on the right track. I feel like you're doing something right. And in the back of my mind, uh, I was like, beginner's luck. Is is this just a one-off thing? Uh, but thank God, like in that same week, I hit another placement, which hit about 20 million. It was a 20 ball uh, views and streams. Um, and then after that second placement, okay, it's not a mistake. You were probably meant for this if you can do it at least 2 times over. Um, but you know, I I I think a regret was definitely just the aspect of reassurance was validated by outside things, not myself. So that's something I would definitely change. But I was starting out, but that's on me. But fast forward to January of 2023, I started feeling not so scared, but just in the back of my mind, I went back to school for my master's degree, and I was asking myself, are you still gonna be able to do this? Because I devoted almost every single second of my day was devoted to music. So that transition over to my master's program and then having to do an internship 800 hours, which I'm still not finished with yet. I'm going to be finished very soon, but these things creep back up into my mind. It's like, okay, I have a big bill like for school. Like I need to step it up. So those were some of my concerns with trying to balance things in my everyday life of being a industry producer, going back to school again. I felt like I got my big break a few months ago, and I wanted the momentum to keep on going. And but there are things about the music industry which like still learning to today. It was a scary time trying to keep that momentum going, but I kept on going and somehow still made it happen. So fast forward to today. Today is January 26th. I had about a good 10 or 11 like big placements with the bigger artists. Mm, and I recently had a really big gospel placement that I was really excited about, where I played a guitar piece, which I was really happy for that one to happen because I think that it showed me that there's more to hip hop, and that there's just so many things that I could be doing in terms of my career. And I at the same time was asking God, how can I uplift your name doing production work, because there are just a lot of things about the industry morally like I just don't agree with. So that was really nice. And then I'd say about a month later, December, had a big placement with Fresco Trey and Annalie Chapa with Dino Nick and Nick 88 and Bankroll. And I grew up listening to Annalie Chapa when I was in high school. So getting that placement was this full circle moment. It was so crazy. Just hearing the news, I was like, oh, I partly produced a song for these people. Like, it's just so crazy. And then I have to shout out my good friend Dino, who recommended me to the label that I have a pub deal now with. And we'll get back to some things about networking later. But it's been one hell of a ride, really. So I think now I'm gonna transition to how I did some of these things. I'm gonna save this so like the files don't get corrupted. Okay, thank the Lord God Almighty, the last file saved. But number one, I think the most important thing is your mindset. Just in general, being a creative, you need to ask yourself, what role do I want to have as a creative? Do I want to speak to the masses, or do I just want this to be a side hobby? I can speak for the wanting the world to hear what I have to offer part. But number one, just be consistent. There are a lot of artists that I used to work with, I'd say like a year and a half ago, who aren't even making music anymore. And I want them to, but I just don't know if it's a motivation thing or if it's just not working out. But there are times in this music industry where things like really hit the fan, and I received like devastating news, or like I've been told no. And I think that a strength that I have is just moving on. Like my whole life I've been told no, and I'm kind of okay with taking no's. I think that's why I keep going, just because like I'll receive as many no's as I can, if if that means I can get that one yes, or like that one spot, that one placement, or that one sale. Like, you're gonna be told no in this industry a lot. And you're gonna feel like you're at the bottom. You're gonna feel like everyone's against you. But that's all a lie. You need to keep on going with your career and move forward. If you mess up, then own up to it. Hold yourself accountable. There's no one else holding you back but yourself and all the lies that you tell yourself. So, mindset is very important. Be consistent and advocate for yourself. And just know, like, I think that um, uh, a shift was when I shifted from I'm not getting any placements to I have the blessing to make music today and to create and to do something that I love and get paid for something that I love. And I may not be where I want to be yet, but no one ever is. So mindset is very important. Number two, working smart, understanding systems, understanding your niches and what your goal is using social media. You have to think of it this way, that 20 years ago we didn't have the blessing of social media. So I thought of it this way. My local town has about 200,000 people, but the world has 7 billion. And I can reach those 7 billion people by posting online. Everyone uses a phone nowadays. Everyone can pick up a phone and search for what they want. So I really prioritize those 7 billion people over the local scene. And there's nothing wrong with going the local route, but I think that the way that I wanted to do things was finding artists in Europe, Asia, Africa, South America, outside of California that I could work with. There's just so many more opportunities with connecting with 7 billion people rather than my max was like 200,000 in my home city. Number two to point B to section A, um, understanding how algorithms work with YouTube, TikTok, and SoundCloud, DSPs. They all have a algorithm that you need to learn. And shout out to my friend Bradley Moon for speaking upon taking the time to get on a Zoom meeting with me, just to even teach me about YouTube. But I realized early on in my career through his mentorship, of course, that I needed to play by the rules of different social medias. I can't be posting R&B type beats on a Detroit channel, right? Everything is in context. Same thing with YouTube. Like, it's probably not smart to be posting 5-minute beat videos on there. That's designated for YouTube because TikTok prioritizes short form content. Like, these are just things that through trial and error that you'll learn. Something's not working, maybe try something else. So that's another thing. And then speaking upon my pub deal, I don't even remember if I said this, but shout out Dino, shout out Marcel. Dino's solely responsible to why I even have a pub deal, but just making sure that with your connections you stay up to date with everybody. And really, I know this might sound corny, but coming with an intention of brotherhood and friendship, excuse me, with the people that you're working with, because you never know if you can change someone's life or someone else can change yours, or if you have an opportunity for them and they have a opportunity for you down the line. I just hate thinking of things like the music industry doesn't have to be saying that the music industry doesn't have to be so rigid. Like, it can be a place where you build great relationships with people. and where you can even take it outside of the studio and grab coffee with someone, meet friends for life. So that's just something else to consider, that your relationship should be very important. Next, I want to speak upon loops. I'm very close to just dropping making beats and just making loops for a really long time, because with loops it's so versatile. Like, think about some of the biggest samples on Splice. Like, they were used by thousands of producers, and there's this one guitar loop that I know of that's like so many big artists use that same sample. It's like, what the heck? Like, I don't know. I'm just thinking of optimization and all the time, and how can I get my music out to the most people possible that will like my content. Okay, so sorry, I always have to pause and repause the video of Photo Booth. It doesn't save all the files correctly, but next I want to talk about business and really having a team. Like, being signed on a pub deal has just really enlightened me to prioritizing business, contracts, understanding what publishing is, what's a master, what is sync, what points are. Those things are all important, because I know that it's free to make beats, but it still costs money to buy FL Studio. Like, you want to constantly be reinvesting into your businesses, whether it be through ads or even like paying for features, or doing, putting in $500 for a play. You never know if you're gonna need that money in the future. So just understanding business, and I feel like even being good with business tells people that you're serious about your craft. Oh, he knows about this, he knows about that. He has his business on lock. Like, I want to work with him because I know that I can trust this person with this task because he's good at business. And the last thing I want to talk about is be flexible. Know what your strengths are and what you have to get better at. Something that I did last year was really prioritize making loops. I didn't use loops for like 6 months because I was lacking in making really industry standard melodies, and even just learning things about sound design has been very integral to some of my recent success. So I think that's all the blabbing I have for today. It's actually a little bit kind of tiring, but that's how I did all I did in 2 years. Um, I can now confidently say that, I'm an industry producer, nearing 100 million streams on a pub deal, and just have so much going on despite, being in school. So I hope that just something in that, like, kind of helped you out in the 25 minutes I was rambling on for. But that this is our my name is Teach It to Him, Chris. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see y'all soon.